Hey there, friend. Patty Dominguez here with this episode of the Positioning to Profit podcast. Thank you for being here. I sure am grateful. And on this episode, it is a solo show again. I'm going to be sharing how to capture more mindshare. Okay. And you may be thinking, what's that? What is she talking about? Well, mindshare is being top of mind in somebody's mind when they are thinking of that go-to person for that thing that you do. And what happens in a highly, highly competitive world, because let's face it, if you are in the coaching world, whether it's a wealth coach, health coach, career coach, any kind of coach, spiritual coach, all the coaches, or any kind of consultant or entrepreneur, in the absence of real differentiation, what happens is you will be subjected to the commoditized coach syndrome. And being a commoditized coach is no fun. It's where you're giving into what I call the price war game, and you're just in a sea of competition, and that's no fun. So what I always want to get people to, my clients certainly, is being a prolific pro. And a prolific pro is one that stands out, is one that captures mindshare, and just has all their shit together. Sorry. Oh my God, earmuffs for the kids. Has all their stuff together. And I was just thinking, now I have to do the explicit rating. Okay, so back to the show. So I want to help you to see and become that prolific pro that you know you are. So that is going to be the topic of the show. Now, first, I want to share a little something with you. Every month, I'm going to be hosting a cafe call. Well, actually, it's thecafecall.com, CAFE call.com, thecafecall.com. What is thecafecall.com, you ask? I'm glad you asked. The cafe call, cafe standing for corrective action, faster earnings. So what does that mean? If you are stuck in your marketing, if you are suffering the woes of random acts of marketing, if you're not sure what's going on with your offer, if you have any questions about your marketing, something to help move you forward, you've been looking at something and you're like, should I do this? Should I not? What's wrong with my offer here? What should I be thinking about? Should I pivot? Should I rebrand? Blah, blah, blah. What's first? Should I be focusing on my website? All of that. All of the things and the questions, concerns that you have, bring them to the Cafe Call. And all you have to do is sign up at thecafecall.com. And it is a Ask Me Anything that I'm doing every single month. And what's super fun about that is that it's your opportunity to share a Zoom call with me. And of course, there's going to be other people on the call, so it's not just you and I. But you can grab a hot seat and I can help answer your questions. I'm pretty dang good, if I do say so myself, at hot seat calls, right? At facilitating those kind of calls. And would love to have you join the next one, again, March 24th, 4:30 p.m. Central Time. And it's going to be that hour of power in which all marketing woes will vanish away forevermore. At least that's my intention. Okay, so for more information, head on over to thecafecall.com. Register for the next one coming up on March 24th. And again, this is going to be a monthly thing, and I'm super excited about it. And for this podcast episode, we're going to be talking about how to capture mindshare. And here we go. Hey there, I'm Patty Dominguez. You're about to discover what it means to position your brand and your business to stand out. This show explores the stories of small business owners just like you who are bringing their message out to the world and impacting their tribe. So if you want to take your business to a category of one status, then hang with me, because this podcast shares everything you need to know about how to be more prolific with your brand so that you can have more profits. All right. Well, it is so good to have you here checking out this episode on how to capture more mindshare. You may be thinking, do I really need to know this? I understand the truth about differentiation being different. And yes, that has something to do with it. The fact is, you never want to be what I call a commoditized coach, right? One of many, super forgettable, not necessarily standing out, and again, suffering from the woes of the price war game. And if you've heard any of my episodes before I may have mentioned the concept of the price war game, where all things considered, so if your prospect is seeing your particular thing that you do, so for example, health coach, all things considered, you will be subjected to the price war game, meaning that they're going to make up their decision on the value that you bring based on your price. That is why I can always tell when somebody says, Patty, well, this is all I can charge because this is what the market will bear. Your differentiation is not in place. Okay. So specific to today, though, we're going to be talking about capturing mindshare, because this is a very important point here. It is better to get paid for who you are versus what you do. Okay, let me say it again because it is that significant. It's better to get paid for who you are versus what you do. So any good positioning expertise, in other words, like if you're positioned to win at the game in which you're in, you want to make sure that you're positioning yourself as that go-to uniquely, right? Better to have a position that is unique, that's because of you, the you that makes you you. And I sound like a Dr. Seuss poem, but it's really true. And that which is the thing that helps you to make that sale versus it being about what you do. Something that comes up, because I'm a coach in a group, and a question came up not too long ago. Somebody was inquiring about wanting to be a mindset coach, right? Helping people to break through to the next level where you're stuck in your beliefs and the limitations that you have, the stories that we build, right? We maybe have an event that happens to us and that turns into an interpretation of what we thought happened at that event, right? Because it's all subject to interpretation. And what happens after that? Well, you create a story. So a lot of people get stuck in their stories and they justify their stories over and over again. Well, unfortunately, those are limitations that may hold you back. So a really good mindset coach is going to be someone who can help you past that. And somebody in the coaching group that I am a coach in was talking about this whole thing. She's like, I really want to be a mindset coach because it's such a powerful way to shift people, to move people. And I'm like, well, yeah, absolutely. So she was saying, well, do I need to get a coaching certification? Now that is focusing on what you do, right? So if you could say, oh, I got XYZ certification and I went to so-and-so school and I have so-and-so degree, that unfortunately, as I refer to, is cost of entry, not a competitive advantage. Meaning, yes, if you want to be in integrity around what it is that you do and the value you can provide, you definitely want to substantiate that. Meaning, you want to be able to stand confidently by the thing that you do, knowing that you can deliver, knowing that you can facilitate transformation for your prospects, right? So that is cost of entry. A competitive advantage is where you're capturing that mind share. It's when people see you in the light of you are the one to go to for that mindset shift, right? So again, better to get paid for who you are versus what you do. So most people get stuck on what you do. I'm a health coach, I'm a this coach, I'm a career coach, I'm an executive coach, I have this certification, I have that certification. And again, unfortunately, that is not special enough, right? So what we want to do is, the ultimate objective here is to control what people believe about you and your brand. That's what capturing mindshare is all about. And really activating that part of the brain which called the RAS, the reticular activating system. And that's the part of the brain that filters everything out, and then it only sees that thing that is imprinted in the brain. And let me give you an example. So I remember when I was looking at buying a car back in the day, I was like, I want this Lexus, this model. I want it to be the hybrid, and I was really focused on the car that I wanted, and all I could see was that car. And then of course what happened is I would be driving down the street in the car that I had. I think I had a Volkswagen Jetta at the time, and inevitably I'd see, oh my God, there's a Lexus and there's another Lexus, and that person's so lucky they have my Lexus. And so it was because my RAS was activated, that reticular activating system, the part of the brain that was filtering out that specific model of the Lexus that I was wanting to attract into my life. So we want to do that same thing, capturing that mind share, but specific to that thing that you want them to know about you, right? That you being the person that is the go-to for the thing that you do. Very, very important. Okay. So the 3 goals here about being in business, so I'm just going to give you these 3 tips on how you capture mind share, is number 1, casting a vision for what's possible. As you hear me talk about, I want to move my clients from commoditized coach to the prolific pro. I want to cast a vision and show them what's possible, and them capturing that vision of what's possible through this way that I can teach them, through my positioning to profit framework, right? Me being the solution, me being the scratch their itch, me being in contribution and helping them in that transformative process, right? I want to also, number two, I want to provide distinct value. And what I mean by that is different is better than better. You can talk about your mousetrap being better, faster, all of this stuff, but what you actually want to do is be different. And there's so many examples of people that are different. And I remember one great example of that early on when I was in college. I had heard about Howard Stern, and Howard Stern, what he was known as back in the day was the shock jock. And it was always like this thing with Howard Stern and what's he going to say, and half people hated him and half of the other people were just completely intrigued by him. And I always found him so fascinating because he was always so polarizing, pushing the envelope, and just being completely different than anything else that was on the radio back in the day. And so that's why Howard Stern is such a great example of capturing Mindshare of that person, the most famous person, arguably, when it comes to being on radio, again, back in the day. And there were others that would try to duplicate or copy what he was doing, but there was only one Howard Stern, and I still believe he is on, I don't know, I think, is it Sirius? But yeah, he's had such a long career as a result of him understanding that principle of being different, right? Be different. And then the other thing, number 3, is you want to be seen as a trusted advisor. This comes from Jay Abraham, the marketing guru himself, who talks about that the highest honor that you can have, and I'm paraphrasing in the way that I'm explaining that, is that he encourages people to see themselves as this trusted advisor for their clients, okay? And the highest compliment that your clients can give you is when you give them a suggestion and they jump on it. So for example, if you have a suggestion for something, if you're like, hey, you should really check this out, I would invest in this if I were you, because, and the reason that they take fast action on what you suggest is because they trust you. The highest honor that any client can give you is when they trust you. Ooh, it's gold. And so as long as you are always focused on what is in the best interest of that client, as long as you understand that reinforcing and continuing and building the longevity of the relationship is the absolute treasure. It's the treasure chest of being in business. And the more that is evolved as a result of that relationship, meaning you want to anticipate, and I tell my clients this all the time, is that if you're doing it right, if you are in that trusted advisor status, you should have a very good idea of the what's next. That really helps to build that status of trusted advisor, so that, right, the relationship you have with your clients is evolving, and then as a result of that, the lifetime value of that client is longer. Instead of where most people are focused on that just one transaction, you're really building the longevity of the relationship. And so do you see how the importance of building that relationship, the importance of being the trusted advisor, you providing that solution, enabling people so that you can help them achieve their goals, casting the vision of what's possible, you really understanding that complete transformative process and you being that guide for them, it's such an empowering place to be. And when you have that, that is when you capture Mindshare. So that when somebody says, hey, who do you know who can help me with, I don't know, I'm struggling to stand out. Well, you just have to go to positioningexpert.com. My positioning coach or what have you, her name is Patty Dominguez, and this is how she helps, and blah, blah, blah. So this is where you want to get to in that space that you are in. So whether you're a health coach, a career coach, whatever kind of coach you are, make sure that you're being different. Make sure you're casting the vision of what's possible, that you're being the solution, that scratch to their itch, providing that distinct value. So really take a pulse check. How are you different? focus on the different, and then how is that enabling people to achieve their goals? And then, of course, being seen as that trusted advisor and really, really cultivating the relationship from a long-term standpoint versus that initial transaction. It's the, okay, thanks, bye. No, you don't want to do that. You want to build a relationship. That's where the gold is. So that's how you capture Mindshare, and that is how you are seen as a trusted advisor. Okay, I'm off my soapbox just because I think that is so important, and I see so many people only focus on that transaction, and that's why people suffer from that commoditized coach status, and we don't want to be that. We want to be the prolific pro, and that is my invitation to you. Now, if you want to find out more, and if you have questions, don't forget, you can catch me in the cafe call, thecafecall.com, where, oh my gosh, I'm trying to figure, cafe call, hold on. It stands for Corrective Action Faster Earnings. It's an acronym. Isn't that sassy? So yes, thecafecall.com, and bring your challenge to the table so I can help you, so that you can remember me when it comes to thinking about who should I be working with? Who's a business coach should I be working with? Who can help me with my positioning? Oh, Patty Dominguez. So there you go. That's why I'd love to share more on the importance of positioning every single week on the Positioning to Profit podcast, and of course the Cafe Call. And for more information on how you and I can engage, head on over to pattydominguez.com. All these links will be in the show notes, and I thank you so much for checking out this show. Remember, your message matters. Thank you so much for checking out the Positioning to Profit podcast. If you haven't already done so, please make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any new episodes. And also, it would mean the world to me if you would take a quick moment to leave a rating and review on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, or your favorite podcast player. It really helps to get the word out about the podcast and, of course, the featured guests. And lastly, please make sure to connect with me on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn. I'm on all of them. And use hashtag positioning to profit so that I can search you out and connect that way too. All right. Thanks so much. See you next time.